Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. So sit back and relax or walk and listen and join me on this journey as we try to answer this never-ending question: what makes people say, why not? Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. So we're going to talk about if you're having a vegan or vegetarian diet, some things that may make it easier, some things you need, and basically just talking about how you can do it and incorporate it into your life, and things may happen to your body that you don't know about as well. So I hope you enjoy this, guys, and if you are thinking of doing it or already taking part in it, I hope you find it helpful in your journey. Hello guys, welcome back to Why Not. So I'm sure we've all heard of veganuary or vegetarian January or something along those lines. So I'm aware, obviously, it's February now. We're into the second week of February. Some people may have tried veganuary and gave up after a week, or some people maybe are doing it now and are going to keep going with it. So if you are, well done. But I think one of the things I have noticed in, like, when it comes to stuff like this, and this goes for vegans, vegetarians, this comes for people in general, because obviously we already know the people who eat a balanced mixed diet generally don't have the most nutritious diet. If we did, there probably wouldn't be a obesity epidemic and stuff like that. So when we go into the likes of any kind of, I'm gonna call it restrictive, but it's not necessarily restrictive type of diet, it's going to be even harder then to get the full nutritional profile unless you have experience in eating, like, a nutritional experience. So, like, for instance, if you are likely to go vegan or vegetarian, just eating salad all the time isn't going to be optimal for your body. But there's a lot of ways you can get in protein, and thankfully as well, there's a lot more alternatives around, like, corn or soy versions of things, and a lot more restaurants and stuff have like vegan or vegetarian options now, which is great. It's not just a side salad anymore. But when you take something out of your diet like that, like you're removing meat or you're removing dairy and all these things, you have to find a way of getting those nutrients that you are not getting from these foods into your diet some other way. So this is what I wanted to talk about. Is myself, like, I have done vegetarian January before, it ended up going to May, I think. Vegetarian January again. I have eaten meat products twice, and I'm not sorry about it, but still kind of eating a vegetarian diet mostly at the moment. And the other thing is obviously not going vegan because meat and cheese exist. Sorry, not meat and cheese. You're not eating meat. Eggs and cheese exist, and I ain't not getting them out of my diet. So, if this is something you have been doing for the last month and need a bit more help because maybe you're running out of ideas for food, or maybe you're getting sick of salads or soup is all you've been eating, or it's something you're thinking of trying but you don't really know how to go about it, let's talk about that today. So, first thing I would like to say is, if there is something you are going to try, like, you can, if you wish, you can gradually increase this into your diet. So you don't necessarily have to be 100% vegan or vegetarian straight away. You can start by working in a plant-based meal, or here or there, or maybe like no meat Monday is a thing, or just reducing the amount of meat in your diet is one way of doing it. You can you could, obviously, if you want to do that gradually, and then, for want of a better description, wean yourself off meat. Or you can go cold turkey, bad pun, and just go straight into going like no meat, and that works. It depends on the person which way works better for people, which is always completely up to you. Personally, we just kind of flipped a switch and went off it. That mightn't work for you. Another thing that you have to remember, if you are changing to a more plant-based diet, there's a lot more fibre in that diet. So if you are eating, like, say, predominantly plant-based, or going straight to predominantly plant-based, there's a few things to be ready for. you will be windy like bejesus for the first week or so, I think, with the extra fibre. Maybe it'll go a bit longer, depending on what meals you're eating, because, the protein from these things come largely from beans and stuff like that. So you've heard the story about baked beans, and I'm sure it's not from any different from any other beans. But that's one thing that'll happen. Another thing is you may find your system's moving a bit more, as in like more fibre. It's the best way of saying this. You might shit more often. There's no way of dancing around the subject. So having more fibre in diet helps that in general. So people who don't have low fibre maybe suffer from those kind of blocked up issues, whereas you might find it's got the opposite effect starting off, which is something to remind yourself as well. And by the way, the windiness, they will smell too. I'm just warning you in advance. Another thing I've noticed a few times is while my body's adjusting for the first week or so, maybe I'm hungry quite a bit. And I don't know what it is. I feel like the protein in meat is more satiating than the protein in vegetables. That could be just in my head. I could be completely talking out of my arse. So don't that not might not necessarily happen to you, but it's something that I've noticed. Which is just one thing to remember, and that will pass. Like, so, because we're like a month or so in now, eating predominantly vegetarian, and I say it's predominantly vegetarian. It is vegetarian. I said twice I've had meat, and it doesn't happen anymore. Like the meals fill me up, and also like it's okay, not okay, but it's easier, I suppose, to bulk out a meal with vegetables because they have a lower calorie content than meat would. So if you do add a load of extra to fill you up, you're going to be taking on less calories. Um, so that's just one thing just to be mindful of if you are planning on trying this out. These are things your body will go through for the first week or so, but it will pass, and you may need to, if you're in the office, carry around an air freshener with you. But no, it won't be that bad. It might be that bad. It won't be that bad. Anyway, another thing you need to do as well, I think, is plan your meals, especially if you're someone who, say for instance, one thing that I found is nearly impossible to with lunches and sandwiches, like you're kind of having cheese sandwiches or you're having, that's about it really, because I don't know about other people, maybe some people like the corn fake ham slice or fake chicken slices, but for me, not into them, don't really like them. So, and I love a good ham sandwich, so it just makes it a little bit harder when you are planning lunches. So if you can make batch meals where you can bring in a bit extra the next day to work, if you're someone who goes out, like obviously if you're in town, there's a lot more vegan and vegetarian type restaurants about now, or places with vegetarian options. They may be a little bit more expensive, so that's why it might be a little bit easier to make a bigger batch of, say, if you're making a big chili, you got to bring some in with you and reheat it in work, or bring things that are easy to make. Like, I suppose one of my lazy go-tos is protein. Like, I could eat that any time of the day. It's just a scoop of protein and a obviously some oats, and they work really well. Or if, as I said, if there's a local place that you like going to, you just get the vegetarian or vegan option. But just remember what you have, and kind of one of the reasons you need to plan is when it comes to the protein, getting your protein in from plant-based sources. You like when it comes to meat, so meat is complete protein. That means all the essential amino acids that you need for growth and repair in your muscles and general bodily function as well, not just like for training. I'm talking about life. Protein is in charge of that. If you have a piece of chicken or a piece of steak, they have all the amino acids you need, whereas very few plant-based proteins do. So maybe soy does, and I think tempeh does. But when it comes to other ones, you have to mix a few. So you might need a couple of types of beans, or you might need to put like um lentils with something else, and to get that full amino profile, to make sure you're getting as nutritious as possible. So if you are not planning your food, you could be leaving yourself protein short. And as I said, that's not just important for training, it's important for your whole body function, because protein is in charge of growth, repair in all cells of our body. And obviously you need that to keep you going. And without planning your meals, you might end up just eating something that, say, for instance, is very carb heavy, or something that is just like, toast. There's very little protein in that for you. So you'd be more hungry, and then you'd eat more carbs. It's a kind of cycle thing. but we want to try and, as I said, the protein's also satiating, so it makes you feel fuller. So you want to try and make sure you're getting as good of a protein amino profile as you can with each meal. That's why planning comes a little bit more. So it's a little bit harder when you are vegan or vegetarian than if you were an omnivore and you eat a bit of everything. It's a lot easier to get your full nutritional profile. But as I said, a little bit of planning goes a long way, and it's a lot. It's not too hard. It just needs a bit more work. Um, Another thing as well is I think don't do this just because you think you're going to lose weight because of it. So I think that's what a lot of people do. I've heard so many people, like, there was, some people going vegan and they talk about how great they feel and how much weight they're losing and all this stuff. And the thing about that is, and this happens with like any diet, like you'll hear this with a lot of different diets, like you could get this exact result with keto, with Weight Watchers, with what's that other one, Slimming World. And the thing about the reason you feel better a lot of the time is you have cut out a lot of like the processed kind of foods, and now you're eating more fresh food, getting more nutrients, and that's why you feel better. And because of that, you'll probably be more active, and as a knock-on effect, then you start to lose weight. It's not the diet, it's the actual change in eating more nutrients. Like that with keto, you're probably not eating cakes and stuff anymore, but you're focused on eating more veg and you're getting more, like, micronutrients, your vitamins and stuff in. Same thing, like, Slimming World, say for instance, I know they are big on you making your own sauces. Again, you're putting more fresh stuff into a sauce instead of something that comes out of a jar. And these are why you feel better, because you're eating more fresh food as opposed to processed food. And because of that, you naturally are going to feel better. So it's not the diet, it's the fact that you are now eating more nutritious food. So with that, vegan or vegetarian is not a way to lose weight. Say for instance, some of the best protein sources are also in these diets are also quite high fat. So if you are still eating in a calorie surplus, you're not going to lose weight. So you have to think about that too. Now, obviously, if you're just eating salad and having no protein, you are going to lose a lot of weight, but you're also going to lose a lot of muscle, and you're also going to feel like shite. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts. You want, if you are looking for weight loss, gradually just changing little things in your diet will go just as far for you as completely cutting out meat and stuff from your diet. So a lot of the time, it's not a case of you have to stop eating meat, but maybe get leaner cuts, or instead of getting pre-made meals, make your own meals, batch cook meals. These things will make way more of a difference to you, while still feeling good, and you know feeling better about yourself and being more energetic. Just eating enough food for us makes a huge difference. And it's not a magic pill of, oh, I did this diet and it's perfect and it's fixed everything. It's a case of getting a nice balanced diet, nutrient rich, and then your body feeling full and energized and better. Better way of describing that. But anyway, and another thing as well you have to remember, especially for vegans, is there are some things that you can only get from meat. Humans are built to be omnivores. It doesn't matter what people say, they can tell you whatever version they want, but at the end of the day, we are built to be omnivores, and that means that we need an array of different types of food to get all the nutrients and micronutrients. So our micronutrients are the likes of our vitamins, our minerals that we get from food as well. Our macronutrients are our protein, carbs, fats, fibre, and water that we have large quantities in, and our micronutrients we have small ones. So our vitamins, our minerals. If you are vegan, you have to take a vitamin B supplement. There's no two ways about this. The reason being is because you cannot get vitamin B unless things are fortified, but you cannot get vitamin B from plant-based sources. It comes from animal-based sources. So if you're vegetarian and you're still having dairy, and if you're having eggs, you can still get vitamin B, but I would still advise taking a supplement on it, because it can be harder to like. So basically, bioavailability is how easy your body digests it and used it. The bioavailability of eggs is a little bit lower, so having that extra, supplement will do you no harm. And the reason this is so important as well is vitamin B is very important, especially B12, for the production of energy in our system. So if you do not have sufficient vitamin B, you are going to feel lethargic, you're going to feel tired, you're going to feel low energy. And especially with B12, like some people, they have struggled with B12. They have to get injections for it. And by the time you realize you're vitamin B deficient, your levels are very, very low. And it can be like really, really like detrimental to your health. Okay. And another thing about vitamin B is it is also water soluble. So the likes of A, E, D, and K are all fat soluble. So you can end up building up stores of these in your fat cells in your body. Great, there's extra there in case you need it. But C and B are water soluble. So basically, you can pee them out. You sweat, you're going to lose them. They will not stay in your body. So you need to be kind of almost topping them up every day to make sure that those levels stay at a safe level. And that is why, if you're a vegan, it's incredibly important that have you supplement with your vitamin B. And if you're vegetarian, you should probably do it too. There's plenty of other different things that I cannot fully remember that you cannot get from meat. Like if you Google it, you look it up. My sister as well, Fig Nutrition, she had a post on this. Now it was a couple of years ago, around the time of veganuary, but explained all the different things that you can end up lacking in if you are vegan. So these things are really important to stay on top of because it will affect your quality of life. It will affect how your body functions. And it's all well and good saying, yeah, it's fine now. But when it hits you, it hits you. And you don't want to get to that point. You want to be able to keep that as far away from as possible. But basically, the point is, if you stay on top of these things, there is no reason why you can't live vegan or vegetarian lifestyle. Also, with the cost of living right now, obviously, if you're buying all the supplementy stuff, it's going to be quite expensive. If, as in, not supplementy stuff, because you can get like obviously cheap vitamins and stuff in Boot. I'm talking about the likes of what's it called? Sorry, the fake sausages and the fake chicken, and some of them can work out quite expensive, depending on what they are. I think some of the corn stuff is cheap enough, but like it's not great. But soy stuff, getting a box of soy. I know they're kind of coming in a box or wrapped. Anyway, you know that is relatively cheap. You can make a couple of dinners off it, depending on how much you eat. Vegetables, tinned beans, all will last you for ages. You can make multiple meals with them. Again, you can do a big batch with a couple of tins of beans. It does make things a little bit cheaper because obviously the price of meat has been going up quite a bit. So if you are looking to save money, adding a few extra plant-based meals into your diet will do no harm. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. If it is something you want to do, if it's something you've no interest in, absolutely fine as well. Because some people don't want to do it, and I wouldn't uh, pontificate go either way. And sometimes, even if you are eating plant based, sometimes you might just want a steak or some chicken. And I find every so often I dream of red meat, but I'm messing. I'm not messing about the meat part. But what I'm saying is, if this is something you're doing, just maybe look into these tips, research a little bit more before you make a decision. Or if you're already doing it, do try and do a little bit more research into it. If you hadn't thought of any of these things, if you hadn't been doing any of these things, you can get on top of them now. It's totally fine. You're not going to die. But yeah, try and focus on making sure you are keeping like that protein intake up, and anything like vitamin B in particular and other stuff you need to supplement in. Make sure you get them in. As I said, you can get them cheap enough from Boots. If you want to buy a more expensive one, there are better ones or better quality ones out there. If you don't have that option, you can get like obviously the cheaper ones. And it the way I look at it is it's better than nothing. And if you can help yourself as much as you can, I think you should do it. So, with that, guys, I am going to leave you. I hope you found this helpful. I hope anyone who has done veganuary enjoyed it. Anyone planning on doing it, not veganuary, but I can't think of anything for February. But if you are thinking of something you're doing or something you're already doing, hopefully you found this informational, helpful, and going forward with planning meals and stuff like that, it might make things a little bit easier for you if you have been struggling with it, or it's something you want to try but you've just thought it'd be too difficult. If you want to follow me, you will find me on Instagram. It's Chrissy H Fitness, and my website is www.chrissyhawkins.com. And for my horsey listeners, I am at strongthesaddle_ on Instagram and TikTok at strongthesaddle. And also you can find all my information on chrissyhawkins.com. Thank you for listening again, guys. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you found this helpful. And I shall see you next week. I really do appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast. So if you please could help me with the algorithm and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And even, if you want to reach out and suggest topics for me, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Drop me a DM on Instagram or TikTok. And thanks again for listening.